There we are. Thank you. When you're ready.
Are we ready?
We are. Yes.
Do I need to do anything about the privacy policy?
No, you can just click the X if you want to remove that message.
Yeah. Cool.
But we are at the moment.
That's fine. Thank you. So this meeting will be virtual meeting live on Ealing YouTube. I welcome everybody who has joined us. Good evening, all members.
Good evening, Chair.
Welcome to our first meeting of this of the current year. Welcome to all of you and welcome to new member of staff. That is Sinead Galbraith, ELP lead. Thanks, Sinead, for attending this meeting. Now I would like to ask all officers to introduce yourselves, please, to our members. Probably, Jan, you can start from.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jan Maguire and I'm working for Ealing as the Religious Education Advisor. I'm also the chair of ARIAC, the Association of Religious Education Inspectors, Advisors and Consultants for England and Wales.
Corinne?
Yeah, I'm Corinne Gill. I'm the Ealing Learning Partnership for Secondary 11 to 19. I'm just here for the transition between me and Sinead, as she'll be doing it moving forward.
All right. Okay, thank you. Sinead.
Good evening. My name's Sinead Galbraith. I'm Education Advisor with Ealing and I am here. Corinne's going to pass over to me to carry on as SACRE lead from here on in.
Thank you. And Markisha Grant.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I am the clerk for SACRE.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let us start with the agenda item, which is apologies and absence. Have we received any apologies, Markisha?
Let me just have a quick check. Councillor.
We received an email from Vidhi Lal, who is our vice chair.
That's correct, and also Susan McCone as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
I think Councillor Raza might have something to add.
Councillor Raza is here, I think.
Yes. Yeah, Councillor Iqbal is down with flu, I'm afraid, so I'm just passing on his apologies.
Is he? I didn't realize he's a member of our SACRE. Is it?
It's a new board.
New board. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to know that. Yeah. Thank you. Right. Any urgent matters? No, none. I know. Declaration of interest?
No.
No. Thank you. Matters to be considered in private? I haven't got anything. Thank you. Thank you. Minutes of the last meeting, which held on Wednesday, 22nd of May 2024. Any questions? Any? Yes, Councillor Mahmood.
Chair, I read the email, and from my point of view, the email, the minutes are correct, and I'm happy to say you go ahead. We agreed on that.
All right, I have to ask other members also. Sorry, Councillor Midda?
We are all agreed.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. Shall I say then we agreed with these minutes?
Sorry, Chair. Just to say that my name was missed off the attendees. I was there, and in fact, I'm minuted later on as saying something, but I got missed off the list of attendees.
I will note that and correct that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's move on to agenda item 6 now. That is the determination of one school, which is a North Primary School. I would like to ask Sinead to shed some light on this application. I think you are presenting the application, Sinead. Are you?
Not to my knowledge.
Who else is here from school? Have we got anyone from school?
Yes, I'm here, the head teacher.
Nicola's here.
Nicholas. All right. Okay, Nicholas. Yes, please go ahead. Thank you very much for coming to the meeting. Thank you.
Sure, Sue.
Yeah, so I did the determination visit. Nicola is the head teacher of North Primary School. And so Nicola, if you could just briefly explain to the SACRE why you decided to go ahead with the determination.
Sure.
And then I'll give my report and then the SACRE can ask any questions.
Sure. So North Primary is a very diverse school. We have a very mixed community. It's a very changing community around North Primary. So we're now about 40% Muslim, and then we have about 20%. I'm remembering off the top of my head, so I might be slightly out, but about 20% Sikh, about 20% Hindu, and we have a small percentage of Christian children. So it's a very mixed community, but a very devout community. And it makes sense for us to apply for determination because we're not a predominantly Christian community. We went to parents, and parents were, I think, roughly around 75% in favour, but we didn't have a huge turnout to the application, to the feedback from parents, and governors were unanimously in agreement that we should apply for determination. So we haven't, I've been the head teacher for 10 years and we haven't been asked to or invited to apply for determination before. So this was a new process for us. And Sue came to our visit and was in agreement that it makes sense for our school.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions, colleagues? Sue, do you want to add anything?
Well, I'll just briefly summarise my report in case there's anybody there who hasn't read it. As Nicola said, North Primary is in the middle of a very diverse community. They do have a clear schedule of daily collective worship, and that is embedded in the school routines. I observed an act of worship, a whole school assembly on the theme of harvest, which was very engaging and very informative. I talked with Nicola afterwards about the ways in which that assembly could more closely meet the definition of the SACRE of what a collective act of worship was. And we talked about there being how it would be helpful to embed more of a time of reflection within that assembly. The definition that the SACRE provide, of course, is that there are moments for deep thinking and sort of spiritual reflection within an assembly, so that it can be classed as an act of collective worship. So we had a really positive discussion about that. And we also talked together about their collective worship policy, which in the light of the determination getting granted, they will need to update. And Nicola was clear about those actions as well.
I have done that now, Sue, and it's on our website.
Fantastic, Nicola, that's really good to hear. So yeah, it was a really lovely visit to the school. Children were really engaged in what was happening. Staff clearly take that aspect of school life very seriously, and I think it is appropriate that they get granted determination.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Thank you. I have read this report on page 18. Just to note that no children withdrew from the collective worship. This is a quite positive sign, which I'm sure we would all commend. I think it's a primary school. All children are attending collective worship. Also, I think somewhere I made a note on page, yeah, page 28. Yeah, looking at collective worship activities in the school, both in the whole school assemblies and class assemblies. It's a quite wide range of activities and topics, which is very positive. I think I found this report is very positive. Children are engaging in collective worship. So these are my views. Any other views from colleagues? Yes, Councillor Ball. Councillor Ball?
Oh, sorry, I must have been. Had I left my hand up before? I didn't have my hand
All
up.
right, your hand was
Sorry.
up. Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is supposed to be.
Councillor Mahmood?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to get Sue observation when you were attending a school assembly, like head teacher Nicola Forrest said, the school is very diverse. So was that reflection you experienced when you were visiting there?
So the assembly that I saw was on the theme of harvest. So it was a broad theme that would be applicable to all children in the school. And they talked about what harvest was and who in the community was involved in that and who we could be thankful for our food. And there was a song which they sung at the end, which children of all faiths were able to engage in a sort of response. So yes, I would say that it was presented in a way so that children from diverse backgrounds could participate.
Brilliant, good to know that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, any concerns, members?
No, Chair. No concerns. I think it's excellent, and the fact that no pupil withdrew from any of it, I think is great, and it's very promising, actually. Very promising.
Very promising. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. So, what is the decision, colleagues, members? Do you think, Corinne? Sorry, I didn't see.
That's okay. I just wanted to follow up because there was an email exchange that we needed to see the signed copy from the governors rather than the email for the agreement for the determination. I don't know if that's been forwarded on to us.
Have you?
I haven't got a signed copy of the minutes because the clerk is on holiday, but I can get hold of that and send it to you as soon as possible.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Corinne, then will it affect to make our decision here now?
No, it won't affect it, but it won't affect the decision. But I just need to make sure we've made that, recorded it as an action to make sure we get it.
No, that's fine. I wasn't sure about it. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Councillor Midda?
Thank you, Chair. By mistake, I gone to the start again. I'm quite happy because North Primary School is next to my house. All the parents are very happy. So I want to say thank you very much for the head teacher. She's coping with every religions. Everyone's happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that feedback.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, colleagues. Are we then agreed to accept this application?
Agreed, Chair.
Agreed?
Yes.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Thank you very
Chair,
much.
yes, very much so, yes.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So it's quite a positive feedback. Thank you. Shall we move on? The next agenda. Thank you very much, Nicola, for coming to the meeting. Thank you. Sue, also thank you very much. I wasn't sure whether you have attended this school or not. Yeah, thank you. Agenda item 7. Agenda item 7 is ASC, Agreed Syllabus Conference, Finance Proposals, Timeline and Survey Feedback. It is quite a good report. I think I'll ask first of all Jan Maguire to talk about this conference, Agreed Syllabus Conference. Where are you, Jan?
Hello, I'm here. I hope that you can hear me fine. And
yeah, I can see you now.
I'm just going to put up hopefully my presentation to you.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you can see me fine. Maybe not.
Oh, Jen, you are still there.
That's a beautiful
can
view.
You still see me? I hope that you're going to see my my presentation in a moment. So I'm just going to put that up. Can you see that all right?
Yeah,
Jolly
I can
good.
see.
Okay,
yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you. I'm just going to take, I'm not too sure how this works, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm not usually working on Teams, so please bear with me. It should come onto a slideshow. I'm just going to go back up to the start. Okay, so Thank you very much to all of you for the last meeting where you set me some actions, and as a result of that, we put a formal proposal through via Corinne and the Ealing Education Group through to the council to ask them to recognise that we had requested to hold an agreed syllabus conference. So those of you who are new in, the agreed syllabus conference is a legal or a temporary legal group that is allowed to be set up in Ealing while we're dealing with the agreed syllabus. So we've got a number of steps that we've already started to put forward. So we've sent that that suggestion forward so that we can start actually looking at the statutory requirements to update the agreed syllabus. And so we might get some feedback today from Corinne and Sinead. So I'll leave that to them to feed back in a little while. The second thing was that you asked that we put forward for finance, and the proposal and the costings for the work was commissioned by SACRE, which I did write on your behalf, and that was submitted to Ealing for response and action. So again, I hope we might get some feedback today from members who are attending this evening. The third thing was to put a timeline in place, which I, of course, also did, and that was also submitted to Ealing. And the other thing you asked me to do was to write a survey. And the survey was then sent out to schools, and Corinne and Sinead very kindly made sure the survey that I put together was sent to all schools, all head teachers, and I can show you the results of that this evening. And this evening, we do need to just make sure that we understand where we are with the process. We need to find out where Ealing is, and hopefully there will be some decisions that are made and we can then move forward with some action points. So this is what I put forward, and I hope you can see this all right, because I can't see what you can see, but can you see a full screen with the table on?
We've got your head in front of it.
Have you?
We've got a copy of it in the pack though, so
Can I change that anyway? I don't know if I can. Does that alter it?
Your head's still in front of the camera. As I say, we have got a copy though, so I think we're
okay. Okay, so I'm so sorry. I could come out and try and start.
You turn your camera off, perhaps yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And share your screen.
I'll see if I can start again. I'm going to go to share. You have to
sorry,
forgive me.
Chair,
I don't usually use Teams. Is that better?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes, can see it.
Brilliant.
Now it's clear.
Right. So this was the finance proposal that was put forward, and I can't see all of the details myself actually, so I'm just going to have to get that out of the way a moment. So what we have here is a suggestion about how much it will cost. It's always a little bit difficult to do, but thankfully I have done a few of these before, so I've got a rough idea of how many hours, how many days, and how much it costs. So I've had a good guess on our behalf. So I've tried to put everything in that I could think of that we would need to do, including the scoping activities that a lot of you were very keen on at the last meeting. That's not wanting me to do that, I'm afraid. I don't know why that's not moving forward. I'm sorry about this, Makisha. I might have to get you to share it for me.
Would you like to use arrows? Is that what you're using? Would you like to use? Are you using the arrows on your?
I am, and it's not moving.
If not, then just tap the screen with your mouse.
Tap it with my mouse.
Yeah, press the screen with your mouse, and it should go on to the next one.
Aha, it is now. Sorry, I've probably gone on too far now. Okay, so I've also broken it down into different year groups. It seems to be working. That's good. So we've got 25-26, because obviously we're not expecting all of the finance to come in one go. So it is spread over a couple of years, which does help when we're putting forward for finance support for SACRE. Quite a lot of the finance will be required for actually writing any new materials that the teachers and the schools have requested as a result of the survey. So we will look at that together in a moment. But there are also other costs, of course, like, for example, making sure that the meetings are run, that we have got presentations of the analysis and the scoping results and so on. All of this takes time, so there are costs involved. And I've tried to break them down for you so you can see roughly how it works out. And the final cost comes in at about 11,800, which is very reasonable. I think most of the ones I'm seeing around the country at the moment are about 18,000. I've kept it as low as I possibly can because I felt that you were guiding that meeting last time, suggesting that it should be more of a light touch on this occasion. And so I hope that I have reflected your views from that meeting in the proposal that we have put forward. In terms of a timeline, the timeline really is aligned to the costings, but there is a little more detail if you want to have a look at the paper that is in your pack. You will see how I've broken it down into the 2 years. But basically, this is a bit of a summary of how it will run. So March through to July 2025, we are really going to be working as a steering group, making sure that we've got those materials which are going to be trialled with the schools so that we've got those up and running. September 25 to November 25, we then hope that the syllabus will be approved. And as you know, that's a little bit of a procedure that has to go to Ealing Cabinet for approval, and it also has to eventually go through to the Secretary of State for the final approval. And then we upload the new materials to the agreed syllabus website, and we publicise the launch of the new syllabus with the schools. December through to July 26, what we're then hoping to do is to make sure that we've got all of that training going forward with the teachers so that they feel ready to start teaching in September 26. So that's the rough timeline, and it's a typical timeline that most SACREs will work to. So we know that we've got enough time to do it justice rather than just rushing something through and doing it badly. We should have time to do it well, with consideration, with dialogue, and with hopefully having everybody on board and agreeing. So that takes me back really to the actions and really opening up to you for discussion. The decisions we need to make tonight will be really based on what Corinne and Sinead are able to feed back to us. But the questions I leave you with are basically what has happened so far. Could we have some feedback about what was said about us going forward with the agreed syllabus conference, and what has been said about finance, and whether any conversation has been had about the timeline and the survey. So any feedback you can give about survey. I have prepared a survey report for later, and we need to make some decisions tonight as a SACRE about how we move forward. So that's as far as I have got with it to date. So if I just come off so that I hope I'm back on again. If anybody wants to then ask questions about it, please do.
Thank you very much. I think I can see Corinne's hand up. Corinne?
Yeah, so I think in relation to what Jan's presented, so that's been discussed with the Directorate of Children's Services. So the timeline has been agreed alongside with the finances. And the plan is that I mean, Jan's going to go through the results of the schools that did respond, but it'll be the light touch because that's kind of where we are in terms of the budget constraints over the next 2 to 3 years. So that part of it has been agreed, and I have met with Jan outside of this meeting and the Directorate. So we're agreed in principle, as long as that's the decision that comes out of today's meeting, that work can start to be commissioned.
Very good. Good report, Corinne. Yeah. There are, I think, questions from members. Let me ask them. Marianne.
Thank you, Chair. I read the results of the survey, and many congratulations. I thought it was really interesting with a great deal of information in it. And what I want to address is really related to my role here on SACRE, because I'm the representative of the Jewish community. And you had a very interesting question about which aspects of the syllabus were difficult to teach, difficult for children to understand, difficult for children to engage with. And there were a number that were identified, but one of them just said Judaism. They didn't say what aspects, so we don't know if it's the teaching or the children's response to it. But what, I mean, and that's fair enough. It's obviously very complex and very nuanced, especially considering the global situation and the local situation as we find it at the moment. So it is very hard for teachers. But what I did notice was that you then had a bar chart showing what do they want help with. And although Judaism had been identified as a problem, nobody wanted help with it. And also I noticed there was another bar chart that said, where do you get your resources from? And by far the majority are preparing their own resources. Now, if you have something that's difficult to teach, then why wouldn't you go to all the very, very good published material that there is available? So I suppose what I would say is, can SACRE in some way encourage the use of all the very good published material on educating about Judaism and its distinction from global politics? But also, I think it's imperative that we don't just wait for the new syllabus, but we can ask teachers to engage with that material as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. Very good point you have raised. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think most of the members of this committee, and when I was leading chair before you, we worked on the previous agreed syllabus. Just wondering, are we, couple of questions, Jane, to you. Are we hiring a lead consultant to work with us on that 25-26 syllabus or not? And are we so are we subscribing online resources like Marian indicated that? So are we, so how we could get the information, like the proper information to be implemented in our agreed syllabus, like Judaism and other, like what you call world religion? World religion mean if there is no religion. So I just wanted to know, do you have some plan for getting resources, or are they available online, or do we need to subscribe that? That's sort of just clarification, Jen. Thank you.
Yes, I think all such fantastic questions. Thank you, Councillor Dear. Yes, and lots of questions there for me to answer. In terms of commissioning a lead person to take forward the work with the syllabus, I believe that's something that you will need to discuss this evening. You're very welcome to put that request through to me if you'd like me to do that. You can also put it forward to somebody else. But we're a very early stage at the moment, so it might be that we need to have more discussions about, well, what do we want this eventual update to look like, and
Sure.
do we want to spend more time and more resources on the actual resources, a bit like Marianne was suggesting, you know, also Councillor Mahmood, you were talking about, do we put some money aside for additional payments into resources like RE Today, like I believe Ealing did last time. A lot of teachers commented on that this time, but a lot of the teachers also commented that they didn't find some of those resources very helpful. So what we might need to do is to have a think about, well, if we've got to improve the resources, then where do we go for those resources? We did have a few issues with RE Today, and I don't know if Corinne might be able to fill everyone in with what happened, but I understand before I arrived in Ealing that there was a contract that was made up with RE Today, and then RE Today were to provide some resources to Ealing that the schools could access free of charge. I believe that's how it worked. But we then found some of the teachers and schools weren't able to access the materials. And so that might reflect some of the answers that we got in the survey, because they then had to then find their own resources because they couldn't access some of the resources that were supposed to be provided. The teachers that attend the training sessions, we do look at the associations nationally, because my view personally is the associations that represent each of the faith groups and the worldview groups tend to be the ones which have the best links. And so I try to get schools to understand how to access the materials that each of the faith groups, worldview groups are producing themselves, so that they understand which groups have more authority and maybe more trusted. But we also look at materials which are produced by the ARIAC consultants, who usually do those with the faith groups and the worldview groups directly. So they're very trusted as well. But we need to get that message out much more widely. But my question would be, if I was investing my money this time round as Ealing SACRE, would I be looking at some other resources outside of RE Today? I can suggest ideas to you, but my job isn't to say exactly what you should choose. You have to decide what you think would be better for the teachers and for the children in your community. But there are some very, very good resources out there that I can recommend. So that we could perhaps have a look at some of those together in some of the working parties, which I hope that we will get off the ground as a result of making some decisions today. Did I answer everything? Come back if I didn't.
No, that's very interesting. Thank you so much. It's just an initial clarification, and I'm sure with the chair approval, we will work as a group, as a steering group, and as a workshop, and so we will have a more time to go in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mahmood. I'll come back, Councillor Ball, to you, and Corinne, I'll come back to you. Let me take Laurie Greenglass first. Thank you. Laurie?
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay, great. I just thought it might help answer the question for Marion and support some of the stuff that Jan was saying as well. So I'm a head teacher of a school in Southall, so I see, and I'm here representing the ELP primary. And I also obviously see RE being taught. I'm also a member of the Jewish community, so whenever there's Judaism being taught, I'm always looking to see what's being taught. And I think when in the survey results, when it's talking about things that the staff are struggling with in terms of resourcing, so RE Today provided very detailed lesson plans and medium-term plans but they didn't then provide the resources of, okay, so this is what you can do, and then this is how it translates into the classroom. So I think, so that's definitely what my staff struggle with, is what that actually looks like in the task that the children are then completing, and then what learning they're getting out of it. Because what a lot of my staff have done, and we've tried to support them in not doing that, is there's lots of websites. For example, there's one called Twinkle, which lots of school staff are familiar with. And for example, in like year 1, when they're learning about a synagogue, their children are then like labeling parts of the synagogue and colouring it in. And it's like, okay, that's not actually how they're going to learn about the synagogue. So it's those tasks, rather than like RE today was good for the planning and kind of like for the teacher subject knowledge, but it was that. I hope that kind of helps in like what we can kind of see if there's anything that can provide those resources. I don't know what's out there for that. I do know that I've sent my teachers a link to my synagogue where all of their videos, all of their services are online. So that really helps them, because then they can watch those videos and see the services to show the children, so that the children can see what happens in the synagogue during the Shabbat service and things like that. But yeah, hopefully that's helped.
Thanks, Laurie. Thanks. Councillor Ball?
Yeah, thank you. For some reason, my virtual hand isn't working, so thank you, Chair, for spotting my physical hand. Yeah, so I'm just going to ask about the financial side of it. So we've got this 11,800. Is that in terms of the council? Is there an existing budget that covers that, or does it need some sort of approval from someone else at this stage for that spend?
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I'll ask Corinne now, then I'll come back, Sinead, to you.
Yeah, so I think
yes,
I can
Corinne.
probably answer. So I think firstly, in terms of what Jan was saying about the RE resource, so there was a few issues, but there's a change of staff in the schools, so they couldn't get into it, but it's the old employees that had registered. So I think that's been resolved. I think the second part is there is a financial cost that is associated with signing up to resources, which would need to be considered as part of the working party, because it would still need to be within the budget. In terms of the budget that you're referring to, in terms of the reviewing of the curriculum, that we've basically been able to resource that to be spread it over the 3 years. But in essence, the budget that we get for SACRE pretty much goes on the consultancy support for SACRE. So anything outside of that, we have to try to source from other areas from the council. So we just need to be wary of that. But in terms of the timeline and the budgets that have been put forward today, they have been allocated for the next 3 years, basically up to that September 26. And then the other point I was just going to make is I think primary and secondary are slightly different in terms of their journeys in relation to RE. So the RE network, I know in secondary, they kind of plan resources together and kind of share areas of good practice or resources they've got to kind of plan together. While I know that there's been a change with the primary RE network, and there's a new model to try to support teachers to prepare resources together rather than have just the updates. So that's something that is being implemented this year, and I know Jan's involved with that as well in terms of for our primary colleagues. So I just thought that gives a bit of context of how teachers are kind of upskilled to teach about the different religions. Thank
Jan.
you.
Right, thanks, Corinne. Jan, do you have?
Yes, thank you very much, Corinne. I just wanted to make it clear, especially for new members, how the money is or comes into SACRE. So the government, the national government, so the central pot, sends a percentage of money through to every local authority, or borough in our case. And that equates to roughly, depending on the size of your borough, but that's going to be between about £35,000 and about £60,000 a year. And that's roughly 2% of the main budget that comes through for education, children's services and so on. That's about 2%. Now, traditionally, that money doesn't usually feed down into SACRE. So it sort of gets lost somewhere because it isn't totally ring fenced. Although it's sort of promised, It doesn't then get ring fence usually for SACREs. Now, the idea is each year that money will go into a pot so that every 5 years, there's a really good budget that can then be spent on the review of the agreed syllabus. So that was the original agreement, but it sort of has got a bit lost over the years. This isn't just a problem for Ealing, it's a problem nationally that Deborah Weston speaks about in her data analysis quite regularly when she gets invited to Parliament to speak. So what we just need to be aware of is that there is much more money there than Ealing at the moment is given for SACRE, but we don't quite know where it goes. So sometimes people send in a freedom of information to find out where that money is sitting. And I believe that there's usually one that gets sent once every few years, 2 years or so. So I don't think we've had one this year. But you are allowed to do that as you know, as we're sitting as members in SACRE, we can do that to find out what that finance is. But we all know the reality of how tight everything is as well. So there is always a balance there, isn't there? But I'm just trying to explain to you how much we should be having and what the reality is. There is a mismatch. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Sinead.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I was just going to jump in there on kind of what Laurie was saying, and also what Corinne was saying. It kind of links in with this whole kind of resources issue and what's actually been successful in the classrooms, and that's to really kind of look at and utilise and scrutinise the networks, the RE leads in schools, and particularly sort of drawn to that element in the timeline of between March and July 2025, I think will be really key in looking at what's actually being used on the ground and what is helpful and also particularly what isn't. So I think Laurie sort of referencing that one resource around Twinkle, and actually, you know, the distinction between an activity that children are given to do and learning that takes place through a skill set of the teacher, and it's not just the resource. So I think that working party and what is being successful in the classroom in terms of a revision of resources in a bank and kind of signposting to support a rewrite will be really key.
Thank you, Sinead. Thank you. I've got Lakshman now. Lakshman?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Hi, yes.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask a question. I also read, like Marianne, I read that one of the feedbacks was that Buddhism was hard to grasp by the teachers. Grasp. I was just wondering if somebody could explain what the training involves for teachers typically. I think December next year you're going to start training them up. What kind of help do they get given?
Thanks. I'll ask officers if they can respond.
Would you like me to respond to that?
Yes, Jan.
We of course need, as a SACRE, to decide how we would like that training package to look. So this is our decision, and we haven't made it yet. But normally it would fall into a number of different categories. The first training session would usually be around, well, look, this is what the new syllabus looks like. This is how to access it. And this is what you will be needing to cover during the children's time in school. So we usually cover all of those elements. Next, we start to look at individual units of work where the teachers hopefully will come along and will feed into sort of developing some of those units. And SACRE's members, if you would like to come too, that's even better, because that's when we can start looking at how we can actually teach it. And just as Sinead was saying, and many others like Laurie are very well aware of, it isn't about providing things like, you know, Twinkle worksheets. What we're trying to do here is some deep learning. And so, Laxman, you know, people within the community are so crucial to helping us. And if you can come along and share with the teachers, that's even better. So what we would need to do is a programme of learning. One thing I would really like to bring into Ealing as well, which is something for you to think about, it's only a suggestion, is that we have some real deep upskilling of the teachers in some of those crucial religion and worldviews areas. And what I can do is to mentor the teachers through a programme, probably linked to Culham St Gabriel's Trust. I don't know if any of you have heard of them, but I will probably use their materials. But if you can then come along as well as SACRE members, or give us a link so that we can ask questions if we get stuck, and you might be able to help us with your expertise, that would be wonderful. But there are all sorts of ways of doing that training. It hasn't been decided. That's your decision. You know, how would you like it? Does that sound okay, or would you like something different?
No, that's fine. Thank you. So it's sort of work in progress. We have to decide what to do, and I get it. Yeah. It would be handy if you did have someone to turn to if you had questions. Yes. Maybe not me, but yes.
Thank you very much, Lakshman, for your great input. Thank you. Sinead.
Hi, yeah, I think as with anything kind of based around training, is that where teachers lack confidence in a subject, there is a tendency to rely on you know, support materials that perhaps they might not understand as fully as they could. I think it's important to note that we're in a strong position in Ealing with the Learning Partnership and the existing networks and the teaching and learning work that has been going on for a long time around quality first teaching, and those connections that lots of our primary and secondary schools have, and cross phase as well. So I think that puts us in a really strong position when it comes to making those decisions about CPD, continuing professional development and training.
Good, thank you. Apra Sharma.
Yeah, hi, good evening. So as part of the Hindu SACRE representative, we had our survey across the country on how the Hinduism is taught in various schools. And so there was a common theme of feedback that Hinduism is not represented properly and it is not taught, and teachers also had problem in understanding how to teach as well. So now here the Twinkle is mentioned, RE2 is mentioned, and maybe some other things are mentioned. So from our side, we would like to have the list of you know, what are being referred to the school. I think which is one of the.
Sure, I've got a difficulty to listen.
But yes,
can't hear properly.
I was going to say to Apra, your line is a little bit disturbed. It's not clear to hear whatever you are saying. A little bit, we are having difficulty.
I'll come back again. Yeah. So.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Marianne.
Thank you. I'm a bit concerned about the idea of SACRE, or many of the SACRE members, trying to advise about teaching materials, because being able to teach something is a very different thing from just knowing about it from your own practice. And I really feel that if teaching material is being decided on, it really has to be RE professionals who make those choices, because many of us are just not qualified to do that at all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Jan.
Yes, absolutely right, Marianne. There are differences, aren't there, in some of the questions that we're dealing with today. So some things will be decided upon based on what the current national best practice is for religious education. So that bit you don't have to worry about so much. We've got plenty of guidance that we can go to help us with that from the REC and from the National Standards of Entitlement and from various other documents, which including Ofsted, will help us so that we know what the actual learning standards are. That bit's fine. But as a community, we do have some say in what we would like our syllabus to look like. So that's the bit that we need to make some decisions over and decide how we want to work together to make sure that we're happy with what we produce. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I will make sure that we have all of those correct levels of learning from a teaching perspective there, and so will Sinead and Corinne and everybody else working together, because that professionalism is already there with CPD. I see that in Ealing when I come in every time, and the teachers are very keen to learn, and so I'm sure that side is going to be great. But what we do need to do is to reference the religion and worldviews on our doorstep, so that the children and the teachers feel that they're learning about the people that they have coming into their schools and that live just outside of their school gate, so that they feel that it's relevant to them, as well as opening up the wider world. So we have a difficult task as SACRE leads. We won't necessarily always be able to do every single religion and worldview in the same depth. So sometimes it might be that what we've got to do is to be very clever at how we signpost teachers and schools, so that, for example, if there is a school with a Levi group, for example, so there's some Levism in their community, that they can access materials which are relevant to them, whereas another school might want to access more materials linked to Judaism because that represents the children more in their school. Another school will be linking into more resources linked into to Islam or Buddhism, and so on. So we need to be quite flexible. That is a must. That's a given nowadays. The national programme is all about opening children's minds to worldviews. So we've got to try to be flexible, but what we don't want to do is to water down the depth and the richness of each of those worldviews. So it is very, very difficult, but we've got lots of things out there to help us already that have been done very well.
Good. Yeah, thank you very much, Jan. Let me ask Apra if she wants to come back. Apra, are you still there? I think she's gone. She might come back later on.
Sorry. Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. I think it is clear now.
All right. Okay. So I was echoing the same view which other members have mentioned here, that if we are referring to, I would like to have the list of reference material that that the school are referred for the Hinduism, because we had in the past feedback that the Hindu parents are not satisfied at all with the kind of reference material the schools are using. So we have our own reference material that we want our schools to use. So if the schools are using something else, then we do not know what exactly are they teaching actually. So we would like the list to be verified from the Hindu SACRE members, and the other list, maybe the RE Today, or maybe the Twinkle, or maybe the BBC, which has a lot of RE information as well. This is not something in the feedback that was recommended. So this was the thing that I was mentioning there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for raising that point, Apra. Are you talking about one particular school, or generally you are talking about?
Yeah, generally across Ealing.
Across Ealing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Jan, you put your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much for that point. What would be wonderful, of course, is once we set the working parties up and we start working with teachers and some of our community that are really interested in developing the material, is that we have those lists so that we can start with those, so that we know what you would like in, and that when we do our signposting and our recommendations about the areas that you would like included as a community, then we've got those in. So anyone that has got that list that you would like to share, then that would be a wonderful starting point when we start working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. I can't see any other hand up. Any other burning issues? No. Thank you. Thank you. I think we have debated about this quite a lot. I think we are all clear what needs to be done. The finances are not really a problem, as we heard from Corinne. It's only a matter of 11,800 pounds, which is required. The report itself, we heard and we read. The survey is quite good. The survey is positive. Some are positive. There is some criticism also. And I think teachers are being very honest to really talk about their difficulties. It is quite good. We need to focus on this survey and to make improvements. Right, about this report, do we, as a SACRE, support it?
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, Chair.
We should go ahead with this
Yes,
report.
Chair.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair.
Lot of work has been done.
Yeah, it has.
Yes. And we just need to start it. Yeah. I think I can see a lot of agreement. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, very much so.
Thank you. All the best, Jan. Thank you. Shall we move on? Anything else you want to add, Jan?
No, thank you very much. That would be really good to be able to move forward. I suppose my only question is, who would you like to commission to do the work? I'm here. I will offer my time. It could be that you would rather have somebody else. So it's totally open to you.
Yeah, I think if Corinne and Sinead can come up with other proposals, then we can discuss in this meeting. Corinne.
Yeah, so I think our preference would be Jan. So we have asked whether she has capacity to do this work, and that's primarily because she already works with our primary schools, which is 60 odd schools in the borough, and Sinead has the link with the secondary lead, so we feel like it'd be easier to match up. So our recommendation would be Jan, because like we said, we've already sourced that she has capacity to do this over the next couple of years for us.
Good news. Jan Maguire. Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good news. Yeah. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Chair. I echo what Ms. Gill is saying, because the last time, as I mentioned before, I think we hired the external consultant. If Jan has got capacity to work on that horizon, is a large horizon to cover all the spec. And like you rightly said, it is not possible to go every religion in certain depth. It is quite difficult work. So we are happy if you have got capacity to do the work, and you have capacity to deliver that in a couple of years' time, that will be happy to do that.
Thank you. In response, Councillor Dear, what I will say is that I may not have the capacity to do absolutely everything, but what I can do is to suggest some ARIAC colleagues who would also be able to work with you. And that might be good because some of them will be specialists in particular areas as well. So it might be a good idea. But if you're happy to work with me as we go forward and steer me in the direction that you would like it to go, then I would be happy to take on the work.
No problem. We will suggest the direction and you will take us there.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Mahmood. Thanks, Jan. Now I've got Councillor Midda.
Thank you, Chair. I'm willing to help all the officers if they need any help in Southall.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mrs. Midda. Yeah. So unanimously we agreed that as Corinne echoed earlier on about Jan to lead, Jan will then talk to Corinne and Sinead. Thank you very much. It's a quite a positive outcome of this report. Thank you. Shall we move on to agenda item 8 now? Local and national updates. Is it Jan again?
I apologise, you've got to listen to me again.
That's all right.
I'm just going to hopefully, I'm going to have to just take that down. I think I've put the wrong slides up, haven't I? I'm just going to have to go in and close some of them down because otherwise they show. This is the one I'm hoping to show. Okay, let's start again. Hopefully you can see my slides. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, so there has been a lot going on nationally and locally. I'm just going to first of all start with the SACRE. So SACRE represents all of the SACREs around England and Wales. And there are a number of things that we've been asked to focus on at the moment. So one is just to make members aware that there is a webinar programme, so that you're very welcome to go along for the free webinars with SACRE for some training. So anything you would like to learn about is on the SACRE website. The other thing that they have requested that we do is to look at our development plan, which we are going to be doing a little bit later. We're going to have Zainab and Corinne presenting their work plan to us. So that's great. We're doing what they've asked us to do. The other thing that they suggested is we had to think about putting in for a grant, but as we're going to be going in for the agreed syllabus conference, probably that's something that you might want to wait on because you're going to have a lot of work to do in Ealing for a while. And the last thing they have asked to remind us of is that the annual report will be due as from October. We usually start writing those. And so we need to action that today, please, Councillor Dear, and we have to agree as a SACRE that we will start writing that, and that Sinead and Corinne will be asked to go and make sure that the data is ready for us to put into the annual report. So this will be data around examinations and anything else that Ealing wishes to have represented in this report this year. I'll carry on, and then if you have questions, if that's okay, if you could ask at the end, because I can't see everyone at the moment. The second thing that we have been doing is lobbying, especially as we have a new government in place. We have had a stand at the recent Labour conference, and representatives of religious education have been speaking to as many Labour MPs as they possibly can about the importance of making sure that religious education is taught to a high standard around the country. So that is something which is going on. And the new Labour government in post, I'm sure some of you will be very, very aware of who they all are, but some of us may not be. So we've got lots of new people in post with different portfolios, but I think the person that will probably take on religious education is going to be Catherine McKinnell. So I'm looking to see how she's responding to things at the moment. But what we've been asked to do is to try, if we can, in every borough and every local authority, is to send in a letter from SACRE to the new group that will be looking after religious education to ask them about how they're going to be improving religious education, how we're going to have better finance, how we're going to instigate a better curriculum, and also to make sure there's more accountability in terms of ensuring that religious education is taught according to the statutory requirement. So that's what we're being asked to do. So anyone who would love to take that on, that would be wonderful. We need to get some letters written from Ealing. The other piece of information that has come in only yesterday, actually, and I did quickly update this slide, so it won't be quite the same as the one in your pack. But yesterday we got this from the SACRE, and it was about the RE Hub's discussion with every single local group of SACREs around the country. So our London version of this, our group SACRE meeting, is going to be on the 26th of November from 6:30 until 8 o'clock on Zoom. And we've all been invited to that. It's an in-conversation, so you can go to meet SACRE members from elsewhere in London and have conversations, and you can hear about the problems they have. You can raise problems you think that we might have in Ealing, and the idea is that we can learn from one another. And if you would like to join that meeting, you would need to email london@rehubs.uk. I can send that to you later, or maybe Makisha will be very kind and make sure that is minuted very carefully so that you have access to that if you would like to attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to finish by saying that we do need to keep reminding ourselves that just before the new government came in post, there was a lot of criticism of religious education, and I have been informed that going forward, the new RE inspector for Ofsted, who's going to be talking to me very soon, actually, she's just organised a meeting with me, and she's going to be telling me about what they're intending to do with religious education on the back of the previous report that criticised religious education. And this was the damning report that I shared with you last time, where it said that in too many primary schools, children receive poor quality religious education. So I'm very pleased to see that that's going to be continuing. But as a SACRE, what we need to continue to do is to be proactive. I'm so grateful to all of you because you are so proactive. We have good meetings and you always ask questions. So I'm so grateful to you for that. And going forward is making sure that we really do create a syllabus that the children are going to not just enjoy, but will find enriching and challenging. Thank you. That's everything from me.
Thank you. Any comments? Right. I think I've seen Corinne's hand was up earlier on. Corinne, did you have anything to say? No.
Sorry, I was just going to say in relation to the data, I know that Jan will start writing the report in October, but obviously we've got a lot of students that are gone in for remarks, so we won't get the final data set till November. But I know that we normally contact Jan to see exactly what she needs for the reports, and then the council's data team will supply that information. But that will be towards the end of November, just so that we're clear from the outset.
Yeah, the deadline is end of November then. I wasn't sure either. That's good. Okay. So, Councillor Rice, your hand is up. Are you there?
Yes, sorry. I'm here. Yes, sorry. You hear me?
Vaguely, we can hear you.
Speak up. So just I'm wondering really about what we can do to improve training for teachers when it comes to religious perspective.
Councillor Rice, it's not clear. What are you asking? Could you please repeat it?
I'll just repeat that, sorry.
It's a lot of noise in the background. I'll take Councillor Mahmood then. Yeah, I'll come back to you, Councillor Rice. Councillor Mahmood.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jan, to report back, and thank you for mentioning lobbying with the new government, which is a good indication. I was there 2 weeks ago in the Liverpool conference, and I have visited SACRE stall as well. So, but once you said new approach and critical approach in terms of RE inspection or new inspector, what does mean of that? I mean, do the new government have got a different approach with religious education? Number one. And number two, when we see the academization, especially the school run by dioceses or faith school, do you think what would be the future of SACRE under-academisation? Thank you.
Oh gosh, I went to listen to a fascinating lecture by Sir Stephen Timms, who was lecturing to the journalists in the annual lecture at the beautiful St Bride's Church in central London the other week, and he got asked very similar questions, and he might answer them better than me, because he has inside information, if you like, that I don't necessarily have. What we do know is that Richard Quay has now stepped down as the RE lead at Ofsted, and we have a new person in post called Hazel, can't think of her surname, sorry, but she's going to now be leading on Ofsted for religious education. So we know that there's going to be a bit of a new kind of approach in those terms. Now, it may be that she might just literally take the report from November, and she might just run with that. She might not change anything. We don't know yet, but I haven't spoken to her yet. But she has asked to speak with ARIAC, so we will have a meeting with her soon. In terms of academisation, I did ask a question at that journalist's lecture, and Sir Stephen did answer it very well. My question was, on the back of the Bloom report that said that there was poor religious literacy in the United Kingdom, and on the back of the report from Ofsted that says that we have poor religious education in schools, what was Labour going to be doing about ensuring that we have statutory religious education taught in all schools? And he said, everything is said by that word statutory. He said, and if it's statutory, it is the law. So therefore, we will be making sure that all schools are teaching religious education. So I was so pleased, because I came away thinking that's a great answer. And you can listen to that if you're interested on YouTube. It's under the parliamentary videos, and really interesting for us as SACREs to know that there is going to be a group that are going to be very interested in religious education.
I'm sure I will get it, and I will definitely listen. Thank you.
That's great. Great to know that. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Rice, do you want to come back? Councillor Rice, I think she's gone. Now we got Lakshman. Lakshman?
Yeah, I was just going to say it may mean more responsibility for SACRE.
Is that Jan?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, that's a very interesting point. In terms of our overall responsibility, it wouldn't change, because we still have responsibility for all religious education. But then we've always had these little anomalies, haven't we? So the diocese will have responsibility for their schools, but we still are there. If they want to come to us, they can come and have a conversation with us. So that responsibility remains. And all different religions, you know, we have different Ofsteds, you know, we have Pesach inspection, don't we, and so on. There are different Ofsted inspections and so on that are held. So I suppose, yes and no. We might find that we've got more schools that will come to us with questions, but our responsibility legally won't actually change.
Okay, thanks.
Good. Right, we got Marian. Marian?
Thank you. Just in response to what you were told by Ofsted, we've been led to believe that one of the real problems is there just aren't enough specialist RE teachers. So are they talking about increasing the number of training places, or somehow inducing people to train to teach RE?
Yes, that's a really good question, Marianne. On the slide about the letters to MPs, one of the 4 is about that retention and recruitment style question, because we haven't got enough specialists at the moment to deliver religious education. They are going to be lobbying for an increased bursary. So we managed to get a bursary of £10,000 for any teacher that was training in religious education. That started in September, and that took us a long time of lobbying for that. But we're trying to lobby for an increase in that bursary to encourage more young people from poorer backgrounds to come forward for the training. And we're hoping that we will then have a much better group of specialist teachers. It's a problem.
Yeah. Thanks, Jan. Now we got Corinne.
No, Jan just answered it in relation to the RE recruitment.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Yeah, so I think I can't see any more questions, any more hands up. Right. So we had a great discussion about the national and local updates. Do we note this report? Agreed with this report? Yeah.
Yes,
noted,
agreed.
Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Report noted. Thank you. Now let's move on to number 9, item number 9. I should have said agenda item 9, which is work plan. I think at the previous work plan we have dealt with the agenda items today. So this agenda item is a future work or present work plan. Should I say any colleague who can shed some light on this work plan? Or shall we just go through? Who is it?
It's Corinne.
Sorry.
So I think
Corinne, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the work plan was created to kind of make sure that we're covering all the statutory requirements.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is to make sure that in terms of the spring meeting, those items are covered. I think one of the things that I did follow up with Malika in the last meeting, she did a spreadsheet of members that have been coming to the meetings. So I suppose one of the actions that we need to look at is the actual membership and what bits of people groups are missing. And also under the guidelines, I think the expectations of Clark would follow up with those people that haven't been to at least 2 meetings now over the last academic year. So just to make sure that we're not in a position where we can't make votes in the meetings coming up. So I think that's something that needs to be done between now and the spring term meeting, just to make sure that we've got, and then in the spring term meeting we need to look at where are our vacancies and how can we support to try to populate those areas where we are low in numbers.
Yeah. So I think we need to send them reminders. We did discuss last year as well. Some organizations, they are not responding to our request. I think we need to follow it up. Also, Corinne, I was thinking to have a list of group members like group A, group B, group C, group D, so that we are clear who is who.
Malika has that list.
You have this list.
Malika has that list because she shared it with me when I took over from Morella when she was not available at work. So Malika has that list. So, and I think
referring to me.
So,
yeah, Makisha, sorry.
Sorry, Makisha. Sorry, apologies. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Right. Do you think we should actually add in our in the report in the future?
Yeah, I think Sinead will be coming over into the next meeting. I think that's part of it. I think it's the clerk's responsibility to do the follow-up of the ones that haven't been attending, and then I think Sinead is part of the responsibility to look at where our vacancies are so she can bring them back to the table for the spring term meeting, so that we can all kind of have some ideas about where could we approach or where could we, because some of the members that have stepped down, I know that Zenab, our administration team, has written back to them to kind of say, thank you for letting us know that you're stepping down. Is there anyone else in your organisation that would like to step up? And we have followed that up twice and we've had no response from some of the members that have left. So we did get that information from the clerk. So I think it's making sure now in the February meeting we've got a real clear understanding of where the vacancies are. But I think that hasn't been done for a while in terms of monitoring the full attendance. So I think that needs to be one of the an item on the next agenda, and you've got all the other items, because obviously Jan's report will be written as well for the SACRE that will need to be signed off in that meeting.
Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear that. Really, I was dreading about the membership list. At the time of Angela Doherty, we used to get a proper membership list and the list of the groups, the 4 groups list. So it is clear to all members that who is who in that group. And when we take a vote, then we should see who is voting. Not only councillors are supporting the agenda items, but other people also supporting that. So I think that gives us a little bit really clear idea how to take a vote. Is it okay, Corinne?
Yeah, so that would sit with the clerk in terms of the actual list. And like I said, I know she has those lists because that's how we found out about the vacancies.
No, I just wanted to raise it with you all, actually. Okay, yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. As you have mentioned about the people who have left, I think Emma Lauder, she has also stepped down from our SACRE, as she doesn't teach RE that much. I don't know which school she is from. Probably we need to approach that school as well.
Yeah, we can do that bit.
Yeah.
That's William Perkins.
William Perkins, yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, and any other burning issue? Oh, Sinead, I didn't see your hand up.
That's okay. It was just a quick question or proposal that I'd find that list very helpful in membership, and could we potentially sort of agree a timeline for that action? I know we're saying for the spring meeting, but perhaps if we kind of work backwards and suggest that by a certain time, the spaces have been addressed, or the gaps have been addressed, and kind of in which groups, would that be all right to do that today?
So Sinead, at the moment, because we haven't got the full list of the vacancies, we need to wait for Makisha to send us the full list of who, because there's obviously Councillor Deers just said someone else has stepped down, so we need to know where the vacancies are first, and then in that meeting then we would put it out, because it's responsibility of the whole SACRE group to kind of think about who could we approach, rather than just one organisation, because it depends which groups the gaps are in. I can go through it with you, Sinead.
Thank you.
Markisha, you want to come back?
No, just to confirm, I've been keeping track of it, and we'll have a sort of final updated version next week after this meeting, and I'll share that with the officers, and we can move from there.
Good. Thank you. Good to hear that. Jan, your hand is up. You have muted yourself, Jan.
I thought I had done that. Yes, I think it's a really good idea if you have the 4 groups where it states the names, because we then get to know people's names as well. It's very helpful. The other thing just to be aware of is that normally we would have representatives from the different teaching associations or the head teachers associations represented. So rather than just going to a school, you would actually look to see, well, what representation have you got? Have you got a good spread of representatives from those teaching groups? That would be the first thing that I would do. And if you have got somebody who has stepped down from a faith group or from another area, then you would usually go to the association. So a national association or a regional association to get a replacement. And then if we get stuck, we then go to our members to help us. So that's usually what happens.
Thank you. Great to learn about these things. Thank you.
Sorry, can I just clarify, Jan, when you say teaching groups, do you mean unions or do you mean, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So colleagues, yes. So next meeting will be in spring. That will be 18th of February. No, am I right?
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
That is in February sometime. Yeah. So our meeting will be based on this present the projection of the agenda items. We will follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's 2 determinations that we'll be writing to Allenbury Primary and Hamborough Primary School. So
that's right.
About whether they want to take that proposal forward for the determination. So we will be asking for the SACRE members' support to do the school visits. So once this meeting's completed, then I will write out to them 2 schools to see if they're ready for the determination process.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sinead.
I don't know if it's possible or feasible to change that date of 18th of February is actually in half term for our Ealing schools. I don't know if that's significant in terms of attendance.
No, the next, sorry, Sinead, that next meeting is on the 27th of February, not 18th. That is 27th.
Thanks.
Sorry. Yeah.
That's correct. I just noticed as well.
So, Jan, let me you are going to say something, Jan. Carry on.
Yes, thank you. I'm just worrying that I haven't got these dates. And I don't know if everyone is the same, because obviously we have very busy diaries, and as you know, I have to travel the country doing different meetings. I wonder if you could be really kind and sort of share those dates ahead of the time, or maybe even have a conversation so that we can have perhaps a doodle poll or something, just to get an idea that we can all do these dates rather than just sending them out would be really helpful. Thank you.
Right, thank you. I think Markisha will do it. Markisha?
The dates are already pre-populated and should be in everyone's diaries anyway. So Jan, just double check, but I will double check just to make sure your email is there. It should be anyway before I even started clerking. And we only have the next meeting scheduled, and I don't have anything else after that. After May, we'll get the next set for the following year. So far it's just the 27th.
Corin.
Yeah, I think there was an agreement that we can't change the dates, if you remember, because the dates come from Democratic Services.
Exactly. Yeah,
so I think the
right.
18th must be the time frame when the paperwork's got to be ready if the meeting's on the 22nd.
27th, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Jan, what I'll do is we'll just make sure that I've got the right dates for you. I will double check, and Sinead will send them across to you to make sure we've only got the February one, because Democratic Services set the next one after the Easter break.
It is in my calendar, so it has been sent out. So I've just had a quick look.
Okay, Sinead, will you just email that to Jan so she's got the date as well? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Corin. Jan, could I ask you about my bit about the report? Your report will be completed by November this year.
Well,
starting from October.
I will start now, and it will then come to be passed at SACRE in February, because that's our next meeting. So it's a little bit late, but that's okay. We should have all of the data by then. So hopefully on the 27th, that will be one of our agenda items that we will pass the report that will go to the Department of Education.
So what is the deadline to send it to the Department of Education?
It used to be December, but because the data now comes through so late, they have changed the date, and it has to now be around the dates of the SACREs around the country. So it's whenever your next SACRE meeting is held. So ours will be February. We'll send it in February.
So my forward should be prepared by February 27th.
I will make sure that you have a reminder.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Anything else, colleagues, or anything else to add or to ask? Any questions? No.
Chair.
Sorry. Yes, Councillor Midda.
because our meeting is will be next year in February.
Yeah.
So we are not meeting all the officers. I want to say Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. The next meeting is on the 27th of February next year. So meeting is closed at 8:34. Thank you very much and have a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.